Welcome to this Fusion video tutorial. In this tutorial I'm going to be going over the dimensioning and annotating options that can be found in the new version 18. First thing that I would recommend doing when doing custom dimensioning is, while in plan view, right click on your mouse button, go to the dimensions option and ensure that auto dimension is turned off. If this option is not turned off, any custom dimensions that we do will be overridden by the auto dimension feature when we change between views. Alright, so let's get started on our dimensioning. We do this by selecting the Open Dimensions palette, and on the left hand side you can see which units we have selected by default to dimension in our plan view. To start the dimensioning, it's as easy as clicking the dimension button, and what you'll notice is that it places dimensions for everything that we have selected: base units, wall units, and fixtures. Fixtures being walls, doors, windows, and so forth. One thing that you'll notice in version 18 is that we have new dimension end rails. I currently have these architectural ones selected, and you can see there's quite a large number of various dimension end rails that we have available. Another new thing that they've added is the witness line style, and by default witness lines will be switched off. To turn them on and off, you just deselect or select the checkbox, and as you can see there are a number of different new ones that they have included. Now, in order to know whether we are deleting the correct dimension or not, because right now we have a number of duplicate dimensions, there's a method that we can use. You can see here that there's an option to display order code, and if we select that, we'll see that it says the order code of the unit along with the dimension. This comes in handy in two ways. Firstly, we can find out which dimensions we need to delete to clean up our plan view, and secondly, we know what the unit is and what size it is. Great, so let's start deleting dimensions. We can just click on the dimension and hit delete on our keyboard for anything that we don't necessarily need to see in the design. And I'm just going to take all of these dimensions out because we really don't need them for this current plan view. Now, let's start sorting the dimensions out. We can click on a dimension and just drag it to a new point, and as you can see here I have two dimensions of one area. This one I can click and hit delete on my keyboard and it removes it from the plan view, and we'll likely have a similar situation there. We can see the 560 depth. We don't need that information. We can click on the F bin 560 and drag it over to the left, and drag this one over to the right, and there we see another duplicate dimension. Now, it would probably be advisable to go through each of these options and see which ones can and cannot be deleted. We'll just drag these down to align them again. And one thing you'll notice as well in version 18, the align-in takes place automatically, and we don't necessarily need to have the guide rail switched on. Okay, so that's what we have in dimensions. Other things that we can do in dimensions is show the height of the floor. So this will either work if we have one dimension selected and select any one of these options. It will only be applicable to the dimension that we have selected at that time. So what we'll do is just switch that off, click in the middle of the plan view to deselect all dimensions, and then select height of floor, and there we will see the order code, the height of the floor, and the dimension of that unit. Great, I'm just going to switch this off for the remainder of this tutorial. The third option, align value with dimension, if we turn that one on, we see that it flips these from a horizontal position to a vertical position, which in essence could make it easier to read when printed out. Great, now let's go on to the annotations. First thing that I would suggest doing is, if we're going to be doing an auto annotation, to go to our edit menu, user preferences, and right at the top we have annotation options, and we can see the options that we have for annotations. We can set our font, we can also set the font size, whether it be italic, bold, or underlined, and we can also set what the annotation's default end style is. Once we're happy with that, we click OK. We come to this portion of the menu, click on that option and select annotation. Now the two buttons at the top here, the first one tells us the options for annotating each unit in the room, and the second one enables us to do custom annotations, making our own notes. Let's first annotate the units in the room. The annotate by selection gives us three different options: numeric, unit name, and order code. With the numeric option selected, we can set different types. There are different types of options available: type and position, manufacturer type and position, position and manufacturer position. Let's just use the position option. We'll select annotate, and there we can see the way that it annotates these numerically is the start point of what we first entered into the design and goes around in that 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. If we do by type and position to annotate, we see that it now goes firstly the type being the base units and then the wall units. Alright, so let's go on to annotating by unit name. Unit name and order code essentially will be the same unless we have a catalog that has different order codes to the unit name. But for the Fusion QM catalog, if I select either one of those two options, we'll get the same result. You'll see that this just annotates with the unit's actual name there. And something nice that they've done in version 18 is allowing us to drag these annotations away from the unit with guidelines. The way that we do this is we hold Control on our keyboard, click on the annotation, and start dragging. Now if I keep Control in, you'll see that it snaps to a 45-degree angle. If I release the Control key, I can move it with more freedom. Another thing is, I'm going to keep the Control key depressed. I just click once, and now I can actually start moving this annotation to various areas of the room. By double clicking, it will commit my change, and I can hold Control and go into my next annotation, and as you can see, we can make a nice neat representation on the side of our walls here, indicating which unit these annotations refer to. Alright, so now let's take a look at the custom annotations. We'll select there. As you can see, I currently have two user annotations available. I'm just going to right click to position my cursor in this wall. I'm going to select elevation A and apply that annotation, and you'll see it just places it into the design automatically. And I can do that with elevation B as well. Now we can then take this elevation B, click on it, and make a customization to it. We can call this elevation C now, click apply, and what you'll notice is that the annotation that's selected has been adjusted. And we can also then go ahead and adjust the font size and maybe even the color. Click that, and there we have a custom annotation. These ones can also be moved around the same way as before. As you can see, it just didn't quite react the way I wanted it to, so I'm just going to move this over here and then start dragging my line around, and there we can see the result. And the thing with the custom annotations is we can set which dimension end we want without having to go to our user preferences. Okay, so that is stored annotations. Let's say, for instance, I want to write my own little note. I'll just position my cursor in this area of the room, and I will maybe put a note there of annotation example, and we'll just apply that. So we can write anything that we want and move it around into the design. And to store this annotation, we just click the store option. We'll give it a short name, just call that Ann, click OK, and there it will appear in our user annotation box. Thank you for watching this tutorial.